The heyday of the Roman Empire is considered a golden period in human history. But besides the magnificent festivities, speeches by senators, lectures by ancient thinkers, gladiatorial fights and chariot races, there were also ordinary everyday life of the inhabitants of the policies. And some of the features of their life may surprise and even shock a modern person. The old Roman proverb pecunia non olet, money has no smell, is popular even today. But few people know where it came from. In the 1st century, Emperor Vespasian imposed a tax on public latrines. And for good reason, because at that time toilets were quite a profitable business. And the famous expression was supposedly a response to the son of Vespasian, who reproached his father for making money on toilets. Urine was then considered real liquid gold. Urine was used to soften skins and process animal hair, and to fertilize pomegranate trees. Urine was also actively used in laundries to bleach white fabrics and enhance the colors of colored ones. But the use of liquid gold was not limited to this. According to the testimony of the Roman poet Catullus, some nobles used urine to cleanse and whiten their teeth. After this rinsing, their morning breath definitely acquired an amazing smell. Of course, there was no toilet paper in ancient Rome. But there were special toilet brushes called xylosponge, a sea sponge attached to a wooden stick. These funds were collective and reusable. After use, they were washed in a bucket with a solution of salt, vinegar and soda. Of course, such a hygienic device can hardly be called sterile, so xylospongy contributed to the spread of intestinal diseases and parasites. The ancient Romans borrowed their time measurement system from the ancient Greeks, who were from the Egyptians or Babylonians. This system is tied to 3 events: dawn, noon and sunset. The time from dawn to noon is divided into 6 daytime hours, which were named in order: hora prima, hora secunda, hora tertia and so on until hora sexta. Further, from noon to sunset there were 6 more daytime hours: hora septima, hora octava and so on until hora duodecima. From sunset to dawn there were 12 hours of the night. It is clear that with such a measurement system at the latitudes of Rome, the duration of the daytime hour could vary from 76 to 46 minutes, and the nighttime hour from 74 to 44 minutes. During the period of its greatest development, the population of ancient Rome was 1 million people. For those times it was not just a big, but a huge city. It is not surprising that with such a dense population there were frequent fires. During the Roman Republic, the city saw the appearance of triumviri nocturni, nightmen, patrols who walked the streets with rags soaked in vinegar and knew how to put out fires. But the peculiarity of their work was that they did nothing until they were paid. No, we'll pay later, money up front. During the time of Gaius Julius Caesar, the fire brigade that belonged to Marcus Licinius Crassus became famous. His firefighters not only extinguished the fire, but before that they quickly bought up the property of the fire victims, so that they could later resell it at a favorable price. The victims have little choice, to get at least some money, or just wait until everything burns to the ground. In July 64 AD, a fire broke out in Rome that could not be contained for 6 days. Then the fire destroyed 2/3 of the city. Before the fights, the gladiators' bodies were lubricated with oils, and after the fights, specially trained employees used special scrapers, strigils, to scrape off this oil, which was mixed with the fighters' sweat. Then creams for women were made from this mixture. It was believed that the pheromones and aphrodisiacs contained therein would make the Roman woman especially charming and desirable. There was also a use for the blood of wounded gladiators. Despite popular belief, they did not die so often. It was believed that products with this ingredient are excellent for headaches and even epilepsy attacks. Oddly enough, along with men, female gladiators also entertained the spectacle-hungry crowd. At one time they were compared to the Amazons and called wild cats. In terms of skill, they were not inferior to their colleagues of the stronger sex. The first female gladiators were free girls of Rome from noble families. They came out onto the sand of the Colosseum of their own free will. They performed in the arena not for money, but for the sake of entertainment, glory, or to honor the memory of the deceased. Gladiatorial fights were initially held as funeral games. The ancient Roman nobles were also gourmets. We have reached the cookbook De Re Coquinaria, in which you can find many interesting recipes. For example, unplucked thrush stuffed with pork udder. But the real rich people used the tongues of nightingales for the filling. The Romans were very fond of baked dormouse. These are small rodents that look like reconciliation. They were stuffed into clay jugs so that only the head remained on top, and fattened. Now, by the way, the Italian mafia also considers dormouse a delicacy. Pig brain was highly valued in those days. What has it been added to? Sausages, baked, pancakes, stuffed stewed cucumbers, and even cakes with rose petals. And goat dung was used to make energy drinks. According to Pliny, even Emperor Nero drank this drink. It is not known who first came up with the idea of experiencing the effect of this remedy. But the most interesting ancient Roman dish, which now confuses the minds of culinary specialists all over the world, is garum sauce made from fermented fish. To prepare it, the fish had to be kept in barrels of water in the sun for 2 to 3 months. Then vinegar, salt and olive oil, pepper or wine were added. Because of the smell, preparing such a sauce was allowed only in the provinces, and it was brought to the cities in hermetically sealed jugs. In the Roman cookbook of Apicius of the 1st century AD, garum was included in most recipes. It was added to both salty and sweet dishes. Garum was also considered a medicine. It was used for dog bites, abscesses, and diarrhea. The sauce served the Romans as an important source of various salts and minerals, and also treated intestinal parasites. The ancient city-states on the territory of Ukraine, Olbia, Chersonese, Panticapaeum, were also involved in the production of garum. This was facilitated by the generous autumn catch of mackerel in the Black Sea, as well as inexhaustible deposits of high-quality table salt in the north of the Crimean Peninsula. Today, a similar recipe for making fish sauce is used in Thailand and Vietnam, where non-man dressing is considered one of the most valuable products after rice. As we already mentioned, a lot of people lived in Rome. To combat overpopulation, medicine of that time offered many methods of contraception. Before sexual intercourse, men were offered to rub their genitals with juniper juice. And women were advised to take a shaggy spider with 2 stripes on its back, wrap it in a piece of deerskin and use it as a pad before a date. In ancient Rome, bronze pessaries were also common, uterine rings, which were supposed to block the cervix and prevent sperm from entering there. But the most valuable remedy for unwanted pregnancy was considered to be silphium, a plant of the Ferula genus of the Apiaceae family, which grew in northern Africa. In Rome, silver of equal weight was given for stalks of silphium, which could cause miscarriage. There is evidence that Julius Caesar kept approximately 680 kilograms of silphium, which the Libyans paid tribute to Rome. Silphium was considered no less reliable an investment than gold, because the demand for it never fell. When silphium mining reached its maximum extent, it was collected over an area up to 200 kilometers long and 50 kilometers wide in the Cyrenaica region. There they even began to depict the plant on gold coins. Unfortunately, no one has been able to grow silphium outside this area. Eventually, excessive demand led to soil depletion, and within a century the plant had completely disappeared. If all of the above measures did not help, the most radical method remained, to kill the baby immediately after birth. In the territories subject to the Roman Empire, many burials of newborns were found. There is evidence that until the baby received a name or his first teeth erupted, he was not considered a living being. Probably, such steps were most often resorted to by prostitutes who found it difficult to control unwanted pregnancies. Although the heyday of the Roman Empire is considered the golden period in the history of mankind, Ignorance gave rise to very strange and sometimes downright scary traditions and customs that shock modern people.